Don't call it a comeback, I'll have hair for years. So that video I made a tree about over there, it's now a concrete wall for parking spots. That tree's gone, it's 2020. So it's been a while since I've done this, but I have a practice. I have an idea and an image idea to share with you, and I haven't made it a priority. I'd like to do some more of this year, and thinking about ideas and making this the second channel in addition to making bigger, more ambitious storytelling ideas for my main channel. I'm still coming up with these ideas. So this practice, this idea is called closing the distance. The resolving of tension that is set in place by something. One of my favorite ways to do this is with music and seeing a sort of collaborative commitment to doing something together. In a room full of noise, it's really hard to tell what people are committed to, and in terms of making noise, getting everyone's attention. It's really hard to sense if people are committed to something through them making noise, because noise has so many different levels, right? But silence has one commitment level, and that is no noise at all. During John and Hank's tour with Nerdfighteria for John's book Turtles All the Way Down, they sang Sweet Caroline with crowds, and you know the part in Sweet Caroline where it's like, so good, so good, so good, or the Sweet Caroline, and then ba 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 part in the song. To show the commitment in silence, everyone sing that part in Sweet Caroline, and then leave silence for ba ba ba's. And sometimes like a handful of people would say it like not paying attention, or probably because they couldn't not close the distance, they couldn't not hold the tension. The magic of that commitment to not resolve a tension altogether shows you that a tension is very, very powerful, and that there are some tensions that you shouldn't resolve and you should more sit in and let them change you versus desperately try to resolve them. It worked for the ba ba ba's, and it worked for the so good, so good, so goods, meaning those weren't spoken after the riff, so it was complete silence, then everyone joined in, then complete silence. That is the magic of music as well, and singing with choral music. When I get to a part where it's forte or fortissimo and the whole choir sings, and then there's a cutoff and it's dead silence, and it's so quiet that you can hear the echo of the entire choir. This tension we sit in is the same sort of idea in music as when you have dissonant notes next to each other, or harmonies that are overlapping, and you have to rub up a quarter tone off with another pitch. This also applies with the idea of letting experiences that you have change you by continuing to see them and acknowledge them and let them change you versus running away. Understanding something that's really nuanced and complex and deciding to embrace that and listen and learn versus like getting rid of that tension by judging or labeling or doing something that's easier. Relationships and not wanting to fix people, but also listening to people well. The downsides of taking oneself too seriously or being desperate to try and close a distance, and control is a big part of this idea too. Sometimes doing nothing isn't doing nothing. Sometimes doing nothing is listening and paying attention and knowing when inaction is just as a fruitful path as action. When action should be the priority, and when inaction should be the priority. As that second channel that this is in leadership and ideas, I might experiment more with stuff on here and try some stuff versus like longer form fun storytelling adventure trip videos on the main channel. It's just fascinating to me. This makes me think. So I hope it made you think about something a little bit too. Sometimes I think it's more important to pay attention to the tensions that we should sit in and let change us and not resolve, rather than things that we should. There is enough of a healthy tension to sit in. That's really what the idea of this is. It's like a rubber band. There's enough of a tension that pushes us toward growth, rather than does not enough momentum or too much momentum that it becomes desperate and destructive. That's all I had. Thanks for watching. Keep creating an awesome self and being you in all the things. DFTBA.